Hi, and welcome to Certified Angus Beef. You're the tops. Success with the sirloin. My name is Laura Newberry-Yokley, and I am one of your MCs today. Did you know that the sirloin is Canada's #1 selling steak? Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the sirloin and some creative ways you can cook and work with the sirloin. Today, I have with me Martin Lemoyne. He's the Director of Business Development, Canadian Business Development. I also have Chef Gavin Pinto. He is our test kitchen manager at Certified Angus Beef.
I'm really excited today to talk about the sirloin, really because we have the expertise of Chef Gavin to highlight the versatility of this cut. So what we want to be able to explain today is why this cut was so popular. As you can see on the graph, the seasonality of the top sirloin made it affordable for being an option on your menu every day of the week. And the reality of 2020 was a little bit different, like you can see on the curve there. But usually, it's a very competitive price that offers so much versatility. And on versatility, there's really a lot of things that we can explain further in detail. But let's start by showing the video of Chef Gavin.
Here in the test kitchen, we're all about making videos for beef lovers. And this one's really for the meatheads out there. Today, we're gonna break down a whole top sirloin. Top sirloin is a super popular cut, and for good reason. It's affordable, it makes for great tasting steaks, and it's easy to find because it's so popular. So let's get into it and break this down. We'll start by identifying the two parts of this certified Angus beef top sirloin. On top you have the sirloin cap, and underneath you have the center cut sirloin. Traditionally, this piece was cut into steaks from this state, which yields big, impressive steaks, but I have an issue with this. The top steak has a grain running a different direction than that of the center cut. There's also quite a bit of connective tissue and fat in between them. First thing we'll do is remove the sirloin cap. It's helpful to start by pulling it with my hands to separate before going in with a knife to nick away at the fat and connective tissue. Just continue to peel down and nick away at the cap until the muscle ends. Then you can just cut through the fat. Here we have the whole top sirloin cap, which needs cleaned up a bit. There's quite a bit of silver skin and fat, but once it's all removed, you have a great small roast that you could also cut into smaller steaks. This is commonly called the culotte or picanha. It's a popular cut in Brazilian steakhouses. I like to trim the fat cap down, but leave it attached because it can provide for some great flavor. Otherwise, I like to clean this up as much as possible. I like to leave about 1/8 to no more than 1/4 inch of fat on top. And that's our sirloin cap. There's more fat and connective tissue to clean up on this top sirloin. The top has a fat cap, and there's some gristle underneath as well. Taking off some of the fat and silver skin will just make for a more enjoyable eating experience. I just like to shave away at the larger pieces of fat and silver skin. You don't have to trim it as tightly as I do here, but I find that it tends to be more of a crowd pleaser when you have the steaks tightly trimmed. This is how I would cut it for home use. We're not worried about getting a perfect yield out of this, we just want every steak to be free of gristle and super enjoyable to eat. Underneath, you'll see some thicker silver skin and some fat that we'll want to remove. Most of this isn't enjoyable to eat, so I like to trim it fairly tightly. Now we have a cleaned up center cut top sirloin. This would typically be cut into sirloin steaks, but we're gonna take this a bit farther and make a variety of cuts from this. Make sure to remove all the silver skin from underneath, but if you wanna leave a little extra fat, that's totally up to you. Once it's trimmed, you'll start to see some separation in the muscles. This is where we'll begin to pull out some smaller cuts from the sirloin. It's pretty easy just to pull at the muscle and nick away at the connective tissue. Now just follow the seam and remove this smaller muscle. Just clean up this piece of any excess silver skin and fat, and you'll have a great option for stir fry and skewers. We'll follow the seam, and now we'll start working at the muscle that is commonly called the mouse steak in Canada. Again, there's a little bit of silver skin that we will remove. This is why I like to separate this top sirloin further. There are multiple muscles coming together, and each one has some silver skin in between. By separating them, You will have a variety of nice steaks and some versatile pieces of trimmed meat without any gristle. Work at the separations with your fingers, then just trim away at that mouse steak. This little piece makes for a great steak for one, or another cut that is great for stir fry, fajita meat, or skewers. And here we have our mouse steak. Now we'll focus on the two main portions of the top sirloin, which are referred to as the 2/3 and 1/3 section, or sirloin fillet. They are separated by a seam that is quite visible from the top. It's easiest to use a boning knife and follow that seam until you start to see some separation between the two. After getting about halfway through, I like to flip the whole piece to make sure that I'm following the seam properly from the bottom as well. Now continue to follow that seam with your knife until you meet up with the incisions that you are making from the top. Now just separate that whole piece and trim any silver skin. From here, you can cut sirloin fillets or keep it whole as a roast and you have a sirloin chateau. This is a great alternative to a center cut tenderloin. The shape is similar and it's fully cleaned of any silver skin. There's a large piece of connective tissue that runs between the two pieces of sirloin, and I think it's so much nicer when you remove it. This is pretty easy to clean up, and you can save any pieces of meat for nice kebabs or steak tips. The only thing going to waste is some silver skin. And here we have some great kebab meat. Trim any remaining silver skin, and we can finally cut our sirloin steaks. From here, you can easily portion out the sirloin steaks. Cut them about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches thick, cutting against the grain. Here you have some great steaks that are nicely trimmed and they'll be great to throw on the grill. Any remaining end pieces and trim that you get is extremely versatile, so very little is actually going to waste. Here you have our center cut top sirloin steaks. You will get such a nice selection of steaks and useful trim pieces from this cut. It's really a great investment if you can get your hands on a whole piece. You don't have to break it down this far, but I find that there is just so many options for these cuts when you go beyond the traditional top sirloin steaks. So I hope this has inspired you to search out a top sirloin, get out those knives and break one down yourself. We'll see you next time here at the Test Kitchen at Certified Angus Beef.
The video itself speaks very, very highly about the versatility of the top sirloin. Again, we have available our top sirloin guide that you can download from our booth at the Gordon virtual show today. But also, I want to talk to you a little bit quickly about our chef. We have 6 incredible culinary chefs at our center, and all of them have took part of the creating idea with the same top sirloin for versatility on your menu. So for example, we have the black pepper and garlic steak bites from Chef Ashley. We also have her pasta dish that was also created with the steak bites, same way. The beef tataki with that quick sear and red, that's really trendy that we have seen the recipe from Chef Brad, or using the mouse muscle that was used in the video by Chef Tony here to create those satay. Those are all inspiring idea. And this one is even nice for banquet, where you can take the larger muscle and the smaller muscle and create it a different presentation style with the same product that you have worked with from the start. So again, the chimichurri is quite popular, but when we're looking at the trends, one of the biggest trends that we are seeing in Canada is the baseball cuts. We all know why it's so popular, because it's easy to portion the size that you want, and the versatility of the price offer a lot of interest. But again, there's so much additional value with all the cuts that you're generating with the top sirloin that I want to invite Chef Gavin to a little bit talk to us a little bit more about the appreciation that you have for the culotte.
Well, the culotte's probably my favorite part of the top sirloin. The reason for that is it's extremely tender. It's got great marbling. It's easy to cut, and there's a lot of versatility to it. As you see on the right there, it's been traditionally used in Brazilian steakhouse as a rotisserie cut, where that nice fat cap there acts as a way to naturally baste the steak as it cooks, because that fat will nicely render and baste the steak, plus it'll add a little bit of flavor once it's rendered down and gets a little crisp. And thinking about a way to cook this while leaving that fat cap on, I decided that it kind of reminded me of a duck breast in the way it looked, because duck breasts have that thick layer of fat under the skin that traditionally you score and then kind of render as it cooks so that you get the nice duck fat to cook it in. And why not do the same thing with a culotte, where we'll be using the rendered tallow as a method to cook the culotte in, and then baste it in the tallow to kind of reinforce that beefy flavor.
Oh, really inspiring. Let me play the video.
Here we have a certified Angus beef culotte, also known as the top sirloin cat. It comes off the whole sirloin, and we're gonna do a little bit of a different technique with it today. I wanna cook it similar to a duck breast because it has this really nice fat cap on the back. It's not super thick and the fat renders beautifully. So first thing I'll do is I will score it the same way. That way we can start it on the fat side, and we'll just render the fat down as we begin to cook the culotte. We'll use the rendered fat to then baste it, and then we'll pop it in the oven to finish. Now flip. All right, give it a flip, and then we'll season this side here. I've got a good browning on this side, and the fat is pretty rendered and crisp. So I'll give it a flip now, and I'll just kind of baste it with this fat and turn up my heat to a medium high, and just keep basting while I sear this second side. And I'm not going to cook it all the way on this range top. I will finish it in the oven, but I'm going to go back onto the fat side to finish it in the oven, just to give the meat a little protection from the bottom of the pan. Let's reach 120 degrees, so I'm going to pull it from the oven and I'm going to let it rest. I'm going to put it onto the cutting board, fat side up, while it rests. I've allowed this sirloin cap plenty of time to rest. I'll get a couple slices here. So you can see it's got a nice, perfect medium rare interior. Not too large of a gray band just from cooking on the fat side for so long. A few slices down. Okay. I'll get my carrot puree here. Just did a harissa and ginger carrot puree. Go with the flavor profile. Got my Ras El Hanout spice culotte. A little bit of scallion for garnish. A little bit of finishing salt.
Chef Gavin, thank you for that exciting introduction for the culotte to cook differently for that presentation mode. Would you find that versatility for sandwich, salad, steak, sliced beef on rice? Is that what you're seeing as the affordable option to do with that cut?
Yeah, I think that, when people talk in culinary trends, they try and think of ways to meet those trends. And I think that using a culotte, that it's so versatile that it can fit into any modern trend, whether it be a center cut steak that you put on the menu as your kind of steak option, or a petite fillet of sirloin, or using the culotte for mini steaks or as a family style presentation like that. There's a lot of options that you can make that one cut work, a variety of options.
Fantastic. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for joining us, for tuning in. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Chef. Don't forget that if it's not certified, it's not the best. All of the information we have available at our website, please feel free to visit at certifiedangusbeef.com.